Love your bed? Many people do. But is spending hours there, even when you're awake, good for you? The world can feel loud, scary, and harsh, so it's no surprise we often seek comfort in our beds. After a long day, it's the one place we feel we can escape to. But those comforting sheets and weighted blankets can sometimes cause more harm than good. What actually happens when you spend hours bed rotting? As common as bed rotting is it normal? Does this self-care trend even deserve to be called that? Let's find out. A quick refresher on bed rotting. Just to make sure we're all on the same page on what we're talking about when we say bed rotting, we don't mean just lying down for an hour or two. Bed rotting is usually viewed as a self-care technique that involves laying in bed for hours. For some, this can include eating junk food, while others will go the whole day without eating while they bed rot. To be clear, the research we found doesn't suggest that bed rotting is very good for you, but that doesn't mean there's any shame in it. This video is just here to shed light on what bed rotting does and give you some ideas for what you can do to avoid doing it too often. It doesn't help your depression. We totally get it. The temptation to stay in bed when depression and anxiety make even small tasks feel overwhelming. While it may seem like bed rotting helps recharge you, it often just lets you stew in negative thoughts and feelings. According to research published in the Medical Journal of Australia, the most effective self-help treatments for depression are the ones that give you something to be an active participant in, whether mentally or physically. Active self-care activities, like a brisk walk or curling up with a good book, were found to be especially effective because they engage your mind and body. Mindless scrolling, not so much. Bed rotting doesn't give your mind something to challenge itself with. Instead, you're more likely to scroll through social media while a TV show is on in the background. It's understandable why we, as people, tend to do this. The challenges we face day to day can be extremely mentally, physically, and emotionally draining. If you add depression, which can kill our motivation, to that mix, bed rotting has an almost irresistible appeal. There's no shame in looking for an escape, and sometimes that rest that your body and mind is begging for is all you really need. But when you find that bed rotting is not helping you recover from stress or rest your mind, you may wanna break away from the habit. The challenge is finding the motivation to pursue effective self-help strategies, which is extremely difficult when bed rotting. It can actually intensify negative thoughts and feelings of isolation. We know finding the motivation is a challenge, but we're here to help you take those first steps. Let's tackle this together. Before we go to the next point, here's a little something to support you on your mental health journey. Bring Ccinee wherever you go as a reminder of your own mental health. We'll be here for you whenever you need. Link in bio. Worsens your cognitive control. Feeling stuck is common when battling mental illness. Getting out of bed to exercise or even start the day can feel impossible when motivation is low. Unfortunately, the more you give in to the temptation to rot in bed, the harder it will become to find your motivation again. But here's the thing, your brain power, what we call cognitive control, is like a muscle. And just like any muscle, if you don't use it, you lose it. Well, it weakens. The decision-making around how you should spend your time and effort is ruled by your cognitive control. In other words, better cognitive control means it becomes easier to say, I will exercise now, and then actually follow through with it. But the longer you stay in bed, the harder it gets to do anything. Staying in bed weakens your brain's willpower. It's get up and go, making even small decisions tough. People battling depression find that it affects their cognitive control for the worse. It makes it harder to get out of bed, but without forcing yourself to follow through with decisions and allowing yourself to lay in bed for hours, your cognitive control becomes weaker. The best thing you can do is let go of the pressure of trying to motivate yourself and start by doing something manageable each day. If you can, ask a friend to help you out by joining you, reminding you, or encouraging you. That way the burden is a little lighter as you rebuild your cognitive control. You can start small by doing a few stretches each day or reading something light. It's like having a cheerleader for your brain power. You're rebuilding that cognitive control muscle, one small step at a time. Let's do this. Avoiding your problems. Bed rotting may seem like a good escape, but the stress doesn't disappear. In fact, after a day of bed rotting, it all immediately rushes back and you feel even worse. The second you get up to tackle anything, bam, the stress hits you even harder, like it somehow multiplied while you were snoozing. You become aware that time passed and you got nothing done, leaving you with even less time to complete the tasks, which only makes the to-do list loom larger and the stress dial crank up even further. So ultimately, bed rotting backfires by just adding to your stress. Actually, science backs this up. Research published in Personality and Individual Differences shows that letting stress lead to procrastination, like, hello, bed rotting, makes your mental health even worse. If that sounds like you, there is hope. You can break out of the bed rotting cycle. The solutions that help you depend on the root cause of your desire to rot in bed. If you always feel fatigued, the solution could be as simple as ensuring there is enough light in your room or adjusting your sleep schedule. If it's your depression or anxiety, the best thing to do is always to speak to a professional. Again, it isn't as though we do this by choice. Bed rotting is the sum of many different factors like stress, anxiety, depression, and just generally feeling overwhelmed. If bed rotting is negatively affecting your life, making you feel worse, there may be something deeper to talk about with a therapist who can offer you personalized advice. Like fast food, bed rotting is just easier than the alternative. The world asks so much of us. Laying in bed and scrolling through social media makes the pressure fade into the background. But if bed rotting is becoming a constant habit, it's likely a sign of a fairly severe depression. When bed rot robs you of your motivation, your positive interactions, and triumph over your day-to-day challenges, it would be beneficial to see a therapist. So, did you find this video helpful? Has bed rotting been more helpful or harmful in your experience? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to Psych2Go for more videos like this. You've got this.